Got a lot of stuff to talk about here today. We got Q&As. We got other stuff that has nothing to do with transportation, and we have a lot of transportation news to talk about as well. Q&A, we'll get to that in a moment. First things first, if you got a Paccar truck, Jiminy Crickets, they've recalled 76,490 of those big babies. Peterbilt Motor Company's Kenworth, model citing the 15-inch digital display may freeze, lock up on you, and not display critical safety information. The good old days when you had the analog dials. If your speedometer didn't work, you replaced the cable. Pretty simple. Now you got to get a software update. That may be pretty simple too, but come on. And this is what I'm talking about when we talk about autonomous trucks. This can't happen. And the other thing too, when it does happen, how long before it gets fixed? Because on these recalls, well, dealers will update the software free of charge. Notification letters are expected to be mailed to owners December 16th. So tough. Recalls 22 KWK, 22 PBK cover 2022 through 2023 Kenworth T680, T880, W990, Peterbilt 365, 367, 389, 567, and 579s. That's according to Bellevue, Washington-based Paccar. So now you know. Gotta love this. Volvo. They have unveiled a tool for electric trucks. This tool is a total cost of ownership tool for electric trucks. Volvo's making this available to you. It's a tool to help motor carriers examine the financial considerations of adopting zero-emission vehicles. Now, do what you want, but an electric vehicle manufacturer is probably not the best one to get a tool such as this. I'd rather be an independent party that has no interest in nothing in the game at all, but it is what it is. And while we're on the subject of electric, there's a string of electric semi-chargers planned for the I-10 corridor between L.A. and El Paso. You're going to love this. Interstate 10 freight corridor between L.A. and El Paso, soon be outfitted with electric truck charging stations stretching from Southern California to West Texas, if all goes according to plan. Promising you these are going to be future eyesores. Terawatt Infrastructure plans to construct a terawatt charging center every 150 miles, starting outside of L.A. and ending in El Paso. The stations will be positioned every 150 miles or so to accommodate the mileage range of a commercially available electric semi-truck and will range in size from 4 to 100 acres. So I guess you're getting the size of a Pilot all the way up to a big Petro. In addition to semi-truck charging facilities, these locations will include driver amenities that will allow for driver rest, eat, shower. Here's the kicker, while their trucks are charging. Yeah, go take your nap, go eat, get a shower. Time you get done with all that, hey, it'll be time to roll, baby. Then 150 miles later, you got to do the same thing. Or whenever. Anyway, locations plan to be energy efficient with solar panels and low emissions in mind. You think the line at fuel stops now is long. Wait for this puppy. Come on, man. I read that and it kind of cracked me up. What else we got going on in the trucking news? All right, here we go. Double broker. Now, this is the story, and I took it straight off the website. As is, and it's kind of misleading, but I get it. I mean, the news is a fact. It's just the way they present it. It's kind of weird. Okay, the headline, busted double broker pleads guilty to stealing carrier's identity and fraud. Busted double broker. All right, here's the deal. Tijuana resident pled guilty to a charge related to a double broker scheme. Here's that word, double broker, again. Tijuana resident Alexis Castillo Padilla, if I'm pronouncing that right, pled guilty in federal court earlier this month to criminal charges related to, here's that word again, double brokering, a double brokering scheme targeting trucking companies and brokers. That is according to a press release from the DOJ, the DOJ being, of course, Department of Justice. According to Alexis's plea agreement, as part of this scheme, Padilla stole the identity of a Spring Valley, California-based interstate carrier. Okay, that's the first thing that will happen during a fraudulent double broker scheme. And agreed to make deliveries using the company's stolen identity. So what he's doing, he's got a trucking company's documentation. And apparently, he's acting like he is this trucking company. Okay, he's got the documents. That's why you never put your documentation on your website. Never, ever, ever. People can steal it and do whatever they want to with it. If you've got a trucking company, if you've got a freight brokerage, get that packet off your website. All right, so he's agreed to make deliveries using the company's stolen identity. He's acting like he's the trucking company. Then, rather than delivering the loads, Padilla posed as a shipper. And rebrokered the same loads to other carriers who delivered the freight. Okay, first of all, he used the trucking company's identity to get the loads from a broker. Okay. Broker's all good with it. Now he's representing himself as the shipper, not a broker. So therefore, this double brokering that's all through this article has nothing to do with double brokering. This guy, he posed as a trucking company to a broker. He took the load from the brokers and then posed as the actual shipper for the load. And he booked the loads on trucks. And those trucks delivered the freight. All right, this guy then allegedly collected the payments for the completed deliveries, but he didn't pay the carriers. Well, of course not. The carriers were unaware that this guy was running, here we go again, a double brokered scheme. It's not double brokering. It's fraud. Double brokering is we'll get into this isn't double brokering. He did all this from Tijuana, Mexico. How about that? Now, this guy pled guilty to these charges following the extradition to the United States from Italy. So he did all this in Tijuana, collected the money, took off, and went to Italy. He was arrested in Italy, extradited back to the United States back in May of 22 this year. As part of his plea agreement, Padilla agreed to pay restitutions to the victims. Are you ready for this? $239,904. Almost $240,000. How did he get away with this that long? This guy is scheduled to be sentenced by U.S. District Judge John A. Houston December 7th. Now, let's talk to you freight brokers just starting out, freight broker agents. This guy's pulling a scheme. I mean, come on. If he would have put half that effort into doing it legally, he'd be free and clear making all kinds of money. This guy put some effort into this. You've got to work. You know, I get calls all the time. Mike, I'm making my calls, but now if you're making calls, you're getting customers. That's about all it amounts to. If you're not getting customers, something's wrong with either the way you're presenting yourself to that potential customer, something's wrong with your script or whatever you're using. Maybe you're prospecting the wrong commodities. I've got a client right now they've been prospecting everything except what was recommended to them to prospect, and they're not getting any customers. So, what do you do? Well, you got to work. You got to make the calls. You got to work. If this guy can do it fraudulently and turn $239,904, come on, no reason you can't do it right. You know what I mean?